Okay, let's dive straight into the examiner's lens. If you are preparing for the Cambridge AS Afrikaans Language 8679 exam, you already know that the topic area of law and order, specifically violence and drug-related crime, is an absolute heavy hitter. It's complex, it's highly nuanced, and it demands far, far more than just memorizing a list of vocabulary words. Welcome to the Digital Studio. I am your master coach for today's session, and we are going to operate strictly on a high-energy, deeply analytical level. We aren't just reading textbooks here. We are going to uncover how mastering the specific mechanics of this topic is the exact literal difference between a B grade and securing that elite A star. We are going to look strictly at what the principal examiners are searching for in those high-stakes exam scenarios, and we are going to translate those rigorous academic requirements directly into concrete, actionable strategies that you can deploy the second you turn over that exam paper. Get ready, because we are about to completely rewire how you approach the syllabus. Now, look at the interactive smartboard right here. This is the core mystery we need to solve today. Why do standard candidate answers fail completely where top-scoring answers succeed? We see this identical pattern time and time again in the principal examiner reports. Students absolutely freeze up when they're asked to evaluate evidence or draw concrete conclusions about violent crime or drug-related offenses. They panic, and they default to just summarizing the provided text rather than critically analyzing it. To fix this, we need to understand command word anatomy. Let's look at a hypothetical high-tariff question, say a 15-mark prompt. The command word might be analyze or it might be evaluate. These are not the same thing. When examiners say analyze, they want you to break down the causes of violence into core components. But when they say evaluate, or to what extent, they're placing hidden constraints on you. They want you to weigh the evidence, judge its validity, and make a definitive, argued stance. Our goal today is to shatter that barrier between summarizing and evaluating, giving you the exact cognitive framework the top 1% of students use to secure maximum marks. To achieve this level of mastery, we will systematically dissect this topic through an elite academic framework. First up, we'll establish the core principles you need to navigate the syllabus. Then, we will lock down the procedural framework, which is your step-by-step execution plan. After that, we are doing a deep dive into critical analysis and evaluation. And finally, we will expose the top examiner warnings, the exact pitfalls that drain marks from otherwise brilliant papers. Let's move right into Section 1 and start by looking at the theoretical architecture that Cambridge Afrikaans language examiners demand from an A-star candidate. To really illustrate this, I'm bringing up a split-screen layout here on our digital board. Let's put two hypothetical scholars head-to-head in a live study suite. On the left, we have Scholar 1. Let's call him Alex. Alex is highly technical, brilliant at memorizing facts and formulas, but he struggles with open-ended evaluation. On the right, we have Scholar 2, Sam. Sam is a creative thinker, fantastic at building arguments, but struggles heavily with structural precision and time management. They are both looking at a prompt about drug-related crime. Alex immediately says, I am going to list every single statistic from the text to show I know the facts. This is superficial breadth. It hits assessment objective 1 knowledge, but it goes no further. Sam jumps in and counters, no way, Alex, we have to talk about the broader societal impact and why this is happening. Sam is closer, aiming for analytical depth, but to unlock the top-tier marking bands, assessment objectives 2 and 3, you need both. Average candidates rely on superficial breadth. Top performers secure top marks by demonstrating connected, conceptual understanding that is transferable to unfamiliar contexts. Examiners explicitly note that candidates who build cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. They want logical, structured reasoning that proves you understand the massive, interconnected picture of law and order. Let's listen in as Alex and Sam continue their debate. Alex points out, well, we can't argue the impact until we define what drug-related crime actually means in this specific Afrikaans context. And Alex is absolutely right. Precise definitions are the first pillar of your architectural foundation. You cannot debate a topic you haven't clearly defined for the examiner. Sam chimes in, okay, once defined, we have to link it to poverty or lack of education. That is the second pillar, causal relationships. You have to map out exactly why the crime is happening and what its direct, measurable impact is. And the third pillar is syllabus integration. This is where you pull it all together. If you can master these three foundational principles, you completely shift from simply recalling isolated information to demonstrating a cohesive mastery that examiners are absolutely desperate to reward. Which brings us seamlessly into Section 2. Let's look at how this theoretical knowledge builds into a practical, actionable methodology. This is the procedural framework. Before we get into the exact sequence Alex and Sam are going to use to draft their essay, I need to pause this session for a crucial mid-video breakthrough. If you are serious about crushing your Cambridge exams and securing those top bands, you cannot rely on just one video. You need consistent, elite strategy. So right now, hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels at the handle at acetheexam_IGCS. Make sure you enable all notifications. Click that bell icon you see animating on screen right now so you never miss our weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies. We drop high-level tactical breakdowns every single week, and you need this intelligence in your corner. Okay, back to the smartboard. You must strictly follow this standardized sequence to develop professional skills. Step 1, identify the elements. Step 2, apply principles. Step 3, execute analysis. Step 4, verify results. Step 5, format appropriately. Examiners are actively looking for this systematic processing. They award method marks when your working is undeniably clear and logical. Now, let's watch Alex and Sam actively draft a model response paragraph by paragraph on screen. They are doing great until they hit a massive roadblock regarding a complex data table about youth violence. Alex freezes up. There are too many numbers, I don't know which ones to include, he says, his timing starting to slip. Sam tries to link the paragraphs, but it's becoming a disorganized mess. I'm going to use a picture-in-picture feature here to pause their session and step in. The cognitive strategy to get unstuck here is simple. Data interpretation skills are non-negotiable, but you don't need all the data. The syllabus guidelines explicitly state you must extract from text and tables, interpret relationships, and draw evidence-based conclusions. So we rewrite the flawed section out loud together. Instead of listing 10 statistics, we select 2 contrasting data points. We write, while the data indicates a 20% rise in urban incidents, the corresponding table reveals a stabilization in rural areas, suggesting that environmental factors are the primary catalyst. Boom. We just transitioned from a mediocre, panicked answer to a flawless, full-mark response that interprets relationships rather than just listing facts. Your conclusions must be anchored entirely in the stimulus materials. Now we are moving into the real high-level territory. Let's unpack exactly how to unlock those elusive, top-tier evaluative marks in Section 3, Critical Analysis and Evaluation. I want you to memorize this exact problem-solving loop. It is the absolute engine behind every single top-scoring candidate's essay. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate. Imagine a highly prepared student. They know every single vocabulary word, every fact about local crime rates, but they consistently get stuck at a B grade. Why? Because they stop at solving. They identify the information, they break it down, and they state the answer. But the A star happens in the final phase, evaluate. You must check for reasonableness and make justified recommendations. This shows the examiner that you aren't just a machine processing information, but a critical thinker analyzing real-world applications within the realm of law and order. All right, it is time for an immersive, interactive workshop segment. I am speaking directly to you now. I'm bringing up visual question 1 on the screen. Let's look at this complex text excerpt regarding a new government policy on drug-related crime. I am putting a 60-second visual countdown timer on the screen right now. Your task is to apply evaluative thinking. Remember, you can never take the stimulus material at face value. First, question the assumptions. The text claims the policy is working because arrests are up, but is that really a success or just increased policing? Second, consider different perspectives. How does this policy affect the community versus law enforcement? And finally, you must justify your decisions with evidence from the text. Time is ticking down. If you just accept the text premise, you lose the evaluation marks. Top-scoring candidates constantly push back on the provided narrative. Time is up. Now let's move to scene 2 of our workshop, Spot the Flaw. I am putting a poorly written student answer on the board, and we are going to dissect it using this strict rubric for evaluating evidence quality. The student wrote, "The data proves that tougher sentences stop crime. Where are the flaws?" Let's use the table. First, limitations. The student failed to identify gaps in the data. Does the data track repeat offenders? We don't know. Second, assumptions. The student highlighted an unproven baseline claim that tougher sentences are the sole cause of the change. Third, alternatives. The student provided no different interpretations. Maybe crime dropped because of a new community outreach program. And finally, effects. The student didn't gauge the impact of these variables on their final conclusion. By using this exact table as a mental checklist during your exam, you guarantee that your evaluation is completely airtight and bulletproof. Let's shift gears into Section 4. This is perhaps the most critical part of our masterclass, the top examiner warnings. This is direct, unvarnished intelligence gathered straight from the people who will be grading your papers.
Looking back at our two scholars, Alex and Sam are suddenly realizing their past mistakes. The principal examiners have explicitly stated the top 3 traps you must avoid at all costs. Number 1, vague answers. When discussing violence or drug-related crime, you cannot just say, crime is bad for people. You need precise, specific details. How does it disrupt local economies? How does it strain healthcare resources? Number 2, sloppy formatting and forgetting presentation rules. And number 3, which is a massive pitfall that Sam almost fell into earlier, providing generic, pre-memorized answers that are not specific to the given context. You could write a brilliant essay on global drug cartels, but if the text provided is about local petty theft, you will score 0 for context. Always, always tailor your response directly to the stimulus material in front of you.
And this brilliantly illustrates our ultimate warning from the examiners. Key terminology confusion. This is a critical alert. Candidates frequently deploy complex legal or sociological terms related to crime incorrectly. Alex, despite being technical, sometimes uses words like prosecution and conviction interchangeably. They are not the same. If you fail to precisely define your terms before using them in extended responses, you risk losing massive analytical credibility. If you are going to write a deep dive into an issue, define your core terms clearly in your opening paragraph. It sets a highly professional tone and proves to the examiner immediately that you are in total command of the Afrikaans vocabulary and the conceptual framework.
So how do you retain all of this high-level strategy under the intense pressure of an exam hall? Both Alex and Sam just had a major breakthrough using this specific technique. To ensure you don't forget these complex causal relationships, apply a visual story method to encode the concepts deeply into your memory. The human brain recalls narratives far better than isolated, dry bullet points. Create a vivid, visual storyline in your head that connects the precise definitions, the root causes of the crime, and the rippling effects on society. When you sit down, open that paper, and the stress hits, you don't panic. You just mentally walk through that pre-built story to instantly recall your fully integrated syllabus knowledge. As we close out this masterclass, I want to synthesize everything into a few core memorable pillars for your exam strategy. Think of this as your battle plan. First, the 3-step question scan. Do not just rush into writing. Extract the data, deconstruct the command word, and identify the hidden constraints. Second, the paragraph balance formula. Select your analytical framework and execute it by balancing factual knowledge with deep critical evaluation of alternatives. And third, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Verify your results, ensure your terminology is flawless, and check that your presentation is professional. This blueprint keeps your answers structured, fiercely logical, and fully aligned with exactly what Cambridge examiners are scoring you on. So here is my final question to you. Will you settle for standard, superficial answers, or will you deploy the analytical depth required to unlock that A star in your next past paper? Crushing Cambridge exams does not happen by accident. It requires relentless, consistent strategy. Keep these principles at the absolute front of your mind as you practice. Shift away from just summarizing texts and step up to fully justified elite evaluations. If you want to dominate your exams, you need to be part of this community. Hit that subscribe button right now for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at acetheexam_IGCSE. Turn on that notification bell so you get every single exam hack we release. And right now, go down to the comments and drop your target grade. Claim it, work for it, and use this framework to go get it. We'll see you in the next session. Stay focused and keep studying smart.